Right, I'm gonna just go grab off YouTube.
Okay, we are live. Nice. Hello everyone, and welcome to EROF. No, not that league. GRS F2.
That's a fine.
No one's gonna hear this bit. It's okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not gonna be talking today. Barely, because as you can tell, my nose is clapped. So yeah, we are good to go for Canada.
I mean, in fairness, you're just kind of clapped anyway, so that's fine.
You think you can come to F2 and say that? Nah.
Little bit of admin stuff, and then I'll take over mostly.
I like F2 because the lobby works how it should, rather than randomly sticking me in straight away.
There you go, that is the notification.
Meanwhile, I'm just trying
to... waiting on one driver just to load in. Although he loaded it yesterday, so... and that seemed to go fine.
Yeah. Okay. Kyle, you're speaking in chat, but you need to load into the session, mate. Like that would be useful if you could do that.
It's unusual for this to be a Steam issue. It's generally one of the other platforms that has loading troubles.
Oh, Mitch is joined.
And Jack has practiced for the wrong track because he looked at Spa, which is actually next week's race. Practiced for that instead.
Oh, we're going. Okay.
So, we're going. So hopefully he's not on a Spa setup because the Spa wings wouldn't be great at Canada.
What, has Mitch been asked to jump in then, I'm guessing?
Yeah, Hugo said he was going to ask Mitch, which I said don't because he'll get disqualified after picking up 27 seconds of penalties yesterday.
Yeah.
But we'll see if he can do any better in this race today with a little quicker grid around him, maybe not pushing quite as hard to try and fight people. But yes, we are live now from the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal in Canada, which is, before Jeddah came onto the calendar a couple of years ago, was the quickest street track in Formula 1. These are public roads the rest of the year on a man-made island in the middle of the river that runs through the centre of Montreal. So walls are very close. Contact is not an unusual thing to happen here with those walls, with how close they do tend to be. And we do already, about 45 seconds into the session, have a few guys heading out on track, which are going to be headed up by the Williams of Alfred Monk. Made his debut last week in Singapore, and unfortunately DNF'd on that last lap of that race, though the incident was deemed to be his fault, so...
He still got points, I think, because of the disconnected cars and the came back, the 90% run.
I believe he picked up 2 points because he covered the 90% that you have to in order to be eligible for points, and there was only 8 human finishers. So he, as the last car to DNF, picked up that 9th place and the 2 points. But he is going to be our first man to set a flying lap in his new Williams that he's got for this week. So we'll just have to see how he handles this street circuit Gilles Villeneuve. As he flicks it through this last chicane, makes sure to stay out of the wall of champions, but actually gets a massive snap of oversteer, which is going to compromise him for this run down into turn 1. Stay as far to the right as you can and cut as much of this inside curb as you dare for turn 1. You kind of want to stay off that inside curb at turn 2. It can unsettle the car a little bit, but make sure you get on full power before you get to the bridge. as we drop it down into the blind apex for 4 and 5. Avoid that wall on the outside, obviously, but run as close as you can to carry the speed. Fly out through 6 and then hard on the brakes for the off-camber turn 7 and 8. A 19.8 for the first sector. That's a pretty good time. That's looking around about where the pole lap was yesterday as we get the first DRS open under another bridge and into a third chicane down this back straight here. And pretty good line there through Alfred, manages to carry quite a lot of speed. And then the heavy braking point, the slowest corner on the track of the hairpin at the bottom of the circuit. The big crash for Robert Kubica there in 2007, probably the hallmark of that part of the circuit. And then the long DRS straight down here. We're going to be seeing speeds in excess of 200 miles an hour, 320 kilometers an hour, as you flick through the last chicane, cut as much of the curbs as you can, keep out of the wall of champions. And then across the line in a 10.7.
We've already beaten yesterday's pole.
Really good. Yeah, really good banker lap there. We saw yesterday in qualifying a lot of drivers invalidating their first run or two. It's an easy track to invalidate on, as Cameron Don goes second with a 10.8, so within a tenth, and just 2 thousandths quicker than Roger Well. Oh no, sorry, a second and 2 thousandths quicker than Roger Well. That caught me out slightly there. But Kyle Mack and Owen Jameson in the 1 minute 11s as well.
Mitch needs parental help apparently. So Mitch, what you do, copy what I do, F1, then you scroll between these drivers so you can see like AI Lance Stroll or AI Mick Schumacher. You select them and then you scroll down to where it says take over car, and there you go. You've got a live tutorial from me on how to do that. Anyways, we have Lewis Pierce coming through the final chicane. Doesn't invalidate, takes it nice and smooth. And up to the line, it is a 12.3 for P7.
So just a steady banker lap there, I think, for Lewis. Just making sure he's got a delta on the board, something to aim at. I invalidated everything up until my last run yesterday, so I didn't have a delta, which it can be a little bit... You're not really sure how well you've done on a corner without a delta. So just getting something on the board there for Lewis. Expect him to go significantly faster than that. I don't think we're going to see anybody failing to get into the 111s at worst. We may even see some drivers dipping very low in those 1 minute 10s, possibly even a 1 minute 9, if someone really hooks one up here.
I've got to make a prediction that Mitch is not going to make it in the 1 minute 11s.
Just needs to pick up a big slipstream down that back straight. It can be worth probably 3 or 4 tenths of a second. It's a reasonably high downforce track. You're probably looking somewhere within the 20s for your wings. Kind of like mid downforce. So the slipstream is very powerful here. As plenty of guys still just circulating, maybe just looking to try and get a valid lap in. Caleb White crossed over in the middle of this train with a 123.3, but it wasn't invalid one. So obviously backing out of the lap, looking to go again. Our current championship leader, just heading through sector 1, gets very close to that wall through turn 6. It's a 20.2 for the first sector. So he's already about 4 tenths down on what Alfred managed to do. But these tyres do have a couple of laps of wear on them, which is going to cost you 2 or 3 tenths quite easily. And you do lose most of that in sector 1. Caleb looking pretty good down this back sector with these chicanes. So only really has one opportunity to invalidate this lap, which is going to be that final chicane. Actually drops down to first gear though. For the chicane, which is unusual.
That'll be the automatic gears, I think.
Is Caleb on automatic gears? Okay, then that would explain it, yeah. She's going to make it very difficult to do any kind of short shifting or anything like that, obviously. Which is probably the best way to get out of there. Pretty good through the final chicane, keeps out of the wall of champions and leaves a decent bit of gap, and it's a 12.6, so again, just getting a delta on board with some used tyres. We'll be definitely hoping to go faster than that. Anybody else on a lap that hasn't yet set
invalidated? They've all invalidated.
Ennis
Mitch
and Jack Evans have just started laps.
What's there?
As has Mitch. Yeah, Lucas Roda and Hugo Nilsson are circulating around fairly close to each other, just looking to get a lap in, possibly on a second set of shiny tyres. Jack just coming up to the middle sector. He's going to be potentially running into some traffic here, though, which is not going to be ideal in his Alpine.
I think that was Ennis who's spun round there, so he'll have to go again.
It's not too difficult, and you don't lose too much for carrying a little bit extra fuel here, though, so drivers can fuel up to go for 2 flying laps as Jack is coming across some traffic down this back straight. Lucas Rudd does a decent job getting out of the way. And it's just going to be this final chicane now for the Alpine driver. As he takes that really well, actually carries a lot of speed in, although a little hesitation on the exit just to make sure he keeps it out of the wall. And it's a 1:11.8, which puts him at P9 for now. Just 300ths behind Roger Well in the Alpha Tauri.
How's Mitch doing?
Mitch is just coming up to the line for a 12.1.
I think he's beat his lap from yesterday already.
Maybe the Haas agrees with him a little more than his Red Bull in F3. So, like I said earlier, hopefully he gets less time penalties today. Hopefully, than doesn't pick up 29 warnings.
I think he's going for a bit of a redemption race today. Is why he's here probably. See if he can improve on the 27 seconds. I think he'll be aiming for 24 or less today.
Coming up to the line, our Aston Martin driver of Teo Smith making his debut with 11.0, puts in P3. That's a great lap.
As Owen Jameson follows right behind up to P4. And everyone's starting just to get a bit closer together now, as Cameron was a 10th foot, but then decided to take a bit too much of the curb. Got a bit too greedy there, but yeah.
Hugo's bailed again, so not going well after his demotion from F1.
Owen
able to get a lap in yet.
Owen says his top speed is 15 kilometers an hour higher than what I've seen. But yeah, you've run like, I don't know, like 8-7 wings here, if I remember. I don't know.
Which is just Owen being Owen.
An interesting idea. I mean, it works for you, so that's fine. 6-7 wings, okay.
Owen is the kind of person that runs 3-0 at Miami, so that's just an Owen thing.
And you thought you were the low wing merchant, but not anymore. You've been dethroned.
I should maybe have tried Owen's setup yesterday. It might have made it a little easier to overtake some of those cars in front of me.
He's also corrected you. He uses 1-3 at Miami.
Oh, was it 1-3? Jesus.
Yeah, it's.
How is that understeer in Sector 1 not chronic? Let's see who's just about to finish a lap.
I see Chris Free. Oh, I see Chris Free spinning. I was going to say I see him 3/10 up, but not anymore. Alfred.
And a bit of a reset as well, I think.
Carl Max invalidated. What about McLaren's? Evans moving off the racing line. Lewis Pierce.
Evans failed. Lewis is. Yeah.
Then there was an Alfa
I think
Romeo.
it's a continuation. I think that's.
Oh, hello. Anson.
Evans binned it. Yeah, Anson goes, whoa, that's come out of basically nowhere as he jumps to the top of the times with another 10.7, but it's a little bit quicker than what Alfred managed, although Alfred is a 10.5 up in the first sector alone in his Williams on a new flying lap, and he's just behind Anson on track as well. So I wonder if Anson's going again, or if he's... oh no, sorry, he's just behind Anson's teammate, which is Caleb. So I wonder if Caleb's going to maybe inadvertently give Alfred a bit of a tow here down this back straight.
Well,
not that I think Alfred's really going to need it.
Caleb is on a lap as well at the moment in the Alfa Romeo. I didn't really see his delta. He was improving by 2/10 in the first sector. I believe he had a moment in the middle sector lap time as a tyre on track.
He was 6/10 up in the middle sector, so this is looking to be a... Wow, finds another 6/10 in the final sector for an 11.4, and Alfred does a 10.5. Goes even faster. As there's a pile-up in the pit lane, just everyone waiting for the cars to go past, and that has unfortunately seen Jack Evans get disqualified from the session for blocking that pit lane, so that is going to see him starting at the back. That is unfortunate.
That is one thing to note. Never stop in the pit lane, as Hugo, I think, was on a lap and has been blocked. I don't think Hugo's going to be happy about that. There was about 4 cars all piled.
There will be a lot of Swedish swearing going on in the admin channel right now.
As
I imagine.
Chris nearly came out the pits and blocked Lassie there. Everyone's getting a bit too close for comfort, and with your teammate, that's not what you want to do.
Speaking of Lassie, he's just had a huge slide coming through the quick chicane in Sector 1. It's lost him a 10th to his fastest lap so far, which is a 17.9, so we'll definitely be looking to improve on that. But there should be more time to find. We do see the times dropping down quite significantly as the track is rubbering in quite nicely now. A very, very good line through the third chicane there for Lassie. And let's see what the delta is for the second sector. It's up a second already. So that lap that he currently has on the board that was bailed out pretty early. Might see a decent improvement here from the Ferrari driver.
I believe he had a moment in the final corner of Sector 2, I want to say. So
that wouldn't be... I
think he backed off there. And
very close to the wall of champions. You're not a champion yet, Lassie. You can't put it in there. Where it's an 11.3, jumps up to P10. Just 300ths behind Adam Bradshaw in the Williams.
I've seen Lewis Pierce has gone to 7th. I didn't notice that before. Again, just like yesterday, Canada's proven to put the grids very close together, I will say.
Yeah, we've got half a second covering 4th to 12th.
Yep.
Which is fun.
And the slowest time is 1.6 off pole, that's not bad.
And that is an F3 driver. So you would expect maybe a slightly larger gap.
Chris is 2 tenths up as well. And Rudd's an F3 driver, Lucas Rudd. So, I mean, could it even be like the whole group within 1.1 seconds of drivers who are, normally in the tier, which would be
cracked.
Yeah.
But F2 is the tier you would expect to be the closest.
Interesting choice there from Chris.
Just picks up that slight bit of slipstream. It might give him an extra mile an hour, and he gets a second dose as well for this run down into the final chicane. Doesn't quite cut as much of that first part as he could, and it means he has to hesitate a little on the exit, which is going to cost him some time. But it's going to be a bit of an improvement. Puts him up to an 11.5, puts him 13th. So he basically jumps the F3 drivers, with the exception of Kyle Mack, who's currently sat in P8. One of our 3 drivers on an 11.3.
It's 2.5 tenths up.
And Owen in the 110s.
That's a
that
good
very,
chicane.
Very nicely through there.
That's got to be a big amount of time to improve. He actually matched his final sector. But P4, nevertheless, is good.
Yeah, just 300ths of a second behind Cameron Don in that Mercedes, who is starting a new lap. And does have Owen's teammate Mitch right behind him.
Cameron
unfortunately validates that first chicane. Mitch is only on an outlap though, so Cameron doesn't need to worry about holding the Haas up too much. As Hugo's heading back out for what is probably about his 19th run, and he still doesn't have a timing yet. I imagine Chris is just going to come back to the pits.
In the chat, we've got Stain rooting for Hugo. Obviously, formerly in the same tier last season, Hugo won F2. As Stain is pointing out how close the grid is. Yeah, it's very interesting. That's what you see in F2. Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to the last race of the season with how close the grid's going to be in Brazil, especially considering we have a sprint race there as well.
Yeah.
That could be a little mental.
And Owen, to answer your question, when's the ACC League? Probably sometime in the new year. I think probably quite early on. I want to get it started with a few events.
We're not doing anything before Christmas. That's not happening.
Yeah.
So next man on a lap is going to be Mitch. He's just starting his in the Haas. So he currently P17 and last of the drivers to set a time. But as I said, he is an F3 driver. So we're not expecting miracles from the Haas today. But anything he can do is going to be very good. But he's cut that first chicane. He took the first part beautifully and then just got a little
3.5 tenths off
the second part.
Yeah, that was a really good chicane as well. He almost got that bang on. That would have been massive. As his former teammate Hugo started a lap.
And gets sideways through turn 2, which isn't going to be ideal, but shouldn't lose him too much time as he's got a braking point only about 150 meters down the road. Through this first sector, it's just a 20.2. We've seen some of the guys near the top, like almost in the mid-19s, doing some 19.7s, and Hugo's going around.
Goodbye, Hugo.
That second off camber chicane. Does run no assists, does Hugo, so that is probably the trickiest part of the circuit for him.
I saw something that confused me then. It said Anson was 8.5 tenths up, but that was from his previous lap. I was like, what's going on?
If Anson somewhere puts it in the 109s, I don't think anyone's getting close.
He is improving though. And let's see.
Coming to the Sector 2 split line now. Takes quite a nice
2
tight line.
tenths up.
2 tenths up.
Oh, he's hit the grass a bit there on entry.
That's going to cost him a little bit of turning, but managed to just about get back to the apex, so shouldn't be too detrimental. There might be a little bit of slipstream for him here, although hopefully the car in front isn't going to hold him up, which is going to be one of the Red Bulls.
Oh, he gets that good. There's always teammates binned it.
His teammates blocking the straights. But this is
But
good for
still
Anson. Pole! By 200ths of a second, but Alfred is around on his lap, so isn't going to be improving in the Williams.
As Mitch is 3 tenths up here, but I see Owen Jameson. Owen Jameson invalidates, so that's the end of his
so it's going to be an Alpine next, which is going to be Jacob Pavelski. He's 4 tenths up currently. He's on an 11.6, so this is looking to maybe plonk him in that top 10. Which will be a pretty good result for the Alpine driver, and it is an 11.1.
Oh, Mitch! That is unlucky.
Mitch has fucked it. Cameron Don's backed out of his lap because he's a second and a half down, so there's not going to be any improvement there.
Rogerwell's improving, and he's in P5 at the moment. What can Rogerwell do? We haven't even really spoken at all about him all session. He's got a Christmas pudding helmet.
So I hope he gets picked up somewhere, as we've got a slight improvement from Theo Smith. Drops him to 5th place with an 11.0. 3 drivers covered by half a tenth.
It's a good final chicane for Rogerwell. And it's P3 for the AlphaTauri.
4 thousandths quicker than Cameron Don. So 3rd, 4th and 5th is separated by 300ths of a second.
As Hugo jumps to P16. So, you know, he was coming down thinking easy top 3, and 16th. Let me go back to reading the chat.
Yeah, that is, in fact, everyone. So that is going to set our grid. So Anson Wong takes pole position. He needs to score as many points as possible. He's one of those 3 guys at the top, separated by just 6 points in the standings. So we'll be looking to hopefully build a bit of a gap over Caleb White and Chris Free. Alfred Monk takes P2 for his first full-time race as a Williams driver. Just 200ths behind Anson for that first lap. That is pretty crazy. Then we're going to have Rogerwell Iniesta and Cameron Don on that second row, separated by 4 thousandths of a second, with Owen Jameson and Theo Smith on that 3rd row. Kyle Mack, PC3 driver, puts it at P7, which is a cracking performance there.
You mean F3 driver?
Apologies. He's on a PC, it's fine. With Lewis Pierce, last year's runner-up in P8, good qualifying there from the McLaren. And Jacob Babelski and another F3 driver, Adam Bradshaw, are going to round out that top 10. And then we've got Lasse Rasmussen, Evan Bowers, Caleb White, Chris Free, Ennis Safari, Hugo Nilsson, Lucas Rudd, Mitch Snape, and unfortunately Josh Evans was Jack Evans, apologies, was unceremoniously yeeted out of the session for blocking the pit lane. So we'll unfortunately have to start 19th and last on the grid.
Also, Mitch, you say you're not last. You would have been P16 if you hadn't have, you know, messed up the final chicane.
Maybe even a little higher. There's time to find in that final sector.
Yeah, he was 3.5 tenths up. I think he might have got the first sector really good again. I'm not too sure.
I thought you were just going to say, I think you might have got first then. I'm like, whoa. I think
no chance.
We're pushing a bit more for that one.
Anyways, I'm pretty sure this is going to be interesting. F2 is, in my opinion, the best tier this season. Sorry to say.
Well, if it's anything like last week, you might need to set up a few quizzes for the safety cars.
You mean yesterday?
No, I meant F2 last week.
Oh yeah, Singapore.
That had 7,000 reports, 46 million penalties, and 1 position change after stewarding.
Oh, and to answer your question from earlier, I don't know how much my wheel was, and it's the McLaren GT3 V2 wheel from Fanatec. There you go.
My wheel came with my day 1 Xbox One in 2013.
aka your controller.
It's a pad. Yes.
Alright, here we go. 19 drivers. This should be interesting, I'm sure.
The weird thing about this pit lane I've only just noticed is where every other pit lane sort of shows the Mercedes garage and then working down, the Canada one just shows Red Bull and just goes, yeah, we don't like Mercedes.
Almost a goal for Croatia, apparently, as we go to the grid. 3, 4, 5 red lights, and we are away here in Canada, as it looks like a slow getaway from Anson, and someone who's got a great getaway is Cameron Don, and also Roger Well, as they're going to be 3 wide into turn 1, and...
Contact Anson's around.
Anson's round. Cameron Don's managed to get away in first place. Maybe he'll get reported, as he did sort of take the positions off track. I'm not sure he could have done too much about it, though.
Well, and dropped right to the backs, though. That's not a great start for Alfa Romeo, currently 18th and 19th. But this starting to settle into a bit of a train, but be cautious of people making moves. We may see some more spins on this first lap and more contact. Hugo's lost his front wing completely, so he's had a great start.
Well done, Hugo. What's going on here then? Oh, we got Adam Bradshaw close to making a move on Theo Smith there, but not quite, as he's going to tuck into the slipstream and go for it now. On the outside, as I've seen Lassay's made a move for P4. Where did Lassay qualify? I swear he qualified like 10th and he's already P4.
He qualified 11th.
And he's already
P4.
Up
7 places already. Yeah, just Mitch on those soft tyres as well. We've got mediums and hards throughout the rest of the grid. And Hugo and Anson into the pits on lap 1. That's not going to be ideal for their strategies, both starting on those medium tyres. Hards will not go to the end from lap 2 here at Canada.
Have we got a prediction for first penalty of the day? On who's that going to be?
Mitch. I'll play it safe. I'll go with the penalty master himself.
As Bradshaw looks to have been compromised there a bit. He's lost 3 places in one corner, isn't he? Fighting with his F3 teammate Ennis.
It might be some more here, because I'm not sure if Ennis is going to back out of this, and he does. I kind of expected a
Lewis
dive
has to
there.
go.
Lewis had to cut the chicane.
Yeah.
And that's going to drop him down a few places as well, because he's going to get mobbed here by Caleb White, I would think. And drops him all the way down to 16th, so shows just how close this grid is. But there's contact at the chicane, and that's Mitch spun around. Contact with Caleb White.
There's also a bit of a front wing there, which isn't from Mitch.
And Lassie's made a move for P3. He's managed to jump Roger Well, get that Ferrari up into the podium positions.
That was Caleb White's front wing, and he's gone into the pits alongside Ennis. Ennis has gone in.
Ennis pit very, very early yesterday as well. I wonder if he has picked up some damage or if he just wants to get out of the train.
It's a good bit of a save there from Roger Well.
Hard tyres. Yeah, some gaps starting to open up at the front here. So DRS is open as we've got 2 penalties already.
Evan, that was close.
Evan Bowers and Owen Jameson currently running 6th and 8th, but they'll be hoping to build some gaps behind them to cover those.
Oh, he's gone there.
Evan's gone round. Oh, he's so close to the wall. I was in broadcast cam on Evan then, and his front wing, it gave me front wing cam as his front wing was 2 inches away from the wall. He's got away with no damage as penalties picked up for Ennis and Adam Bradshaw as well now.
Ennis got his in the pit lane, as his contact Owen Jameson's given Carl Mack a bit of a shove.
Kyle's managed to keep the place for now, and they're both going to have the DRS here as Kyle's going to go defensive on the run down into the chicane. Decides Owen's not close enough, moves back to the racing line.
And then gets a good run, so he'll be safe.
Yeah, very, very good through there. And I mean, he might even have the chance to challenge Roger Well here if he can get a good run through this first couple of corners. As Lassie's kind of ditched Roger Well a little bit. Those hard tyres just not really fired up on the Alfa Tauri. And the Ferrari driver taking off after Alfred Monk, and he's got back in the DRS range. He's all over the back of the Williams.
Ennis has got another penalty for speeding into the pits, and he's gone.
And he's retired. Ennis has gone to go watch the football. But Lassie's had a cracking start. He's up from 11th, up into P3, and now he's challenged Alfred Monk for P2. around the outside with the aid of DRS, because very, very close to the outside wall. Alfred has to cut the chicane.
A bit there.
And that's going to cost him a place to Roger Well, at least, I would think.
Yeah,
Roger Well's going to look to the inside of the chicane. Alfred's very, very late on the brakes, though. Although a little bit of a nudge from the Alpha Tower is going to allow Roger Well to take that place just about. We'll have to see who gets the DRS. I think it's going to be Roger Well. It is. So that rear wing flap opening is going to allow him to stay ahead of the Williams driver. And it is a double DRS zone down here. So you get it through the back straight and down the pit straight for the same detection point. So that's just going to allow Roger Well just to maintain that P3. And we'll have to see if Lassie can take off after Cameron Don without a tyre advantage here. He's had a tyre advantage for the last few guys he's overtaken. Can he keep with the Mercedes driver at the front? As speaking of Mercedes, Lucas Rudd has managed to make a move on Adam Bradshaw and get himself up into P8 in that second Mercedes driver. A little bit of a battle for all the F3 drivers. Lucas didn't have a great race yesterday. Seemed to get caught up in a lot of incidents, but managed to make his way back into decent points. So hopefully he can have a cleaner race today and see just what he can do with his pace.
That was Adam Bradshaw going deep there, which gets Jacob Pavelski behind him a bit closer in the Alpine. As that might be a track limit as well for Bradshaw, as he's cut a bit of that chicane. He's already got 3 seconds. He won't be wanting to get many more. As well, we know yesterday a lot of people got penalties. Mitch had 27 seconds, whereas today he's currently not got one.
Mitch had 29 warnings. He was 1 corner cut warning away from disqualification.
As Alfred Monk has made the move, Cameron Don's in a wall, and that's no front wing. And our race leader, no, he has got a front wing, but it's like not very intact. He needs to get a rained here. He's driving backwards. I think he's just about got rained in time before it disqualifies him.
Yeah, it's not going to disqualify you for sitting still unless you do so for quite a long time, but that is very unfortunate for the Mercedes driver, who was having a very strong race, and now he's going to have to pit, get a new front wing, because you can't drive with that somewhere like Canada.
Is it just me, or if the clouds just got really dark?
Oh, yeah. Sky looks a little dingy.
And it's,
rain is definitely going to spice this up.
I know you were in the race, but do we have any rain? As, oh, Alfred's gone off the track.
Hugo and Caleb are going side by side at the back over P16. I think Caleb may just fend off the Red Bull
That
here.
was close. Carmack going down the inside. They're 3 wide on the exit of the chicane nearly. Oh my. It's only lap 6,
Alfred's
guys.
going to be a bit of a sitting duck maybe with... Oh no, he does have the DRS. He was close enough to Roger Well ahead to pick up that rear wing opening as well, which is going to help him defend from the guys behind. Oh, it sends the massive lunge. I think he just completely missed his braking point there and had to take evasive action to not murder someone as Kyle Mack's in the pits.
Here comes
off
Theo
hard
Smith.
tyres, so that must be wing damage. It's not wing damage, it's a tactical change onto some mediums. So Kyle going for a 2-stop, I think. 2 sets of mediums to the end from here.
Maybe he didn't like the hard tyres, as there's another yellow flag.
Don't blame him. I specifically chose a strategy yesterday that meant I didn't have to use them, because they're not the best. As Cameron is in the pits for some hard tyres and a new front wing. That is going to put the Mercedes driver down all the way in 15th place, and he's going to be coming under pressure with the Alfa Romeo drivers. All 3 of these guys had a really good pace in qualifying, though, so
Cameron's going to be all the way to last, I think. No, he's going to be 17th. But one thing we know about Cameron is he's had every single race so far. He's been at the front, then at the back, then at the front, then at the back, and somebody finished like P6 or something. So, you know, he's one of those drivers who'll just randomly appear at the front again at some point, probably.
Yeah, but this big group here, the train for second place, which is going to be Alfred without that DRS, and then Roger Well, Theo, and Owen behind, who all are going to have that rear wing flap opening. So this is all going to depend on whether Roger Well can make a move here. He's going to be a little bit of a cock in the bottle for these guys. And he's going to look to the outside of turn 1, which is going to turn to the inside for turn 2. If he can just hang it out there, Alfred gives him the space. He's going to look to try and get a better exit, but gets a snap of oversteer as he tries to put some power down. And that's going to put Roger Well through into second for now.
There's Mitch's first penalty.
Hooray! Can we applaud Mitch for getting to lap 8?
Yeah, maybe he's only doing, you know, 1 warning every 2 laps today.
Which, I mean, 2 warnings every lap.
That would only get him 15 seconds. That's a bit more reasonable.
He had that by the last safety car yesterday. So, speaking of which, we haven't had a safety car or a VSC yet today. We'd had 2 VSCs by this point yesterday. So.
Yeah, yesterday.
Well,
whenever
guys,
someone tapped the ball,
Owen Jameson gets a massive snap coming out of the third chicane, just gets on the outside curb, and it spits him out into the near side wall. That's his front wing gone, and that's going to drop the Haas down to pretty much last place. As Kyle, who pit the lap prior, is now just about 2 seconds behind him.
As here comes Alfred Monk. Him and Roger will have been fighting. He also gets a penalty for that move. And, well, that's not ideal for him.
They've managed to pull a little bit of gap back to Theo Smith, though, so I think Roger definitely has more pace, and Alfred essentially using the DRS as we've got a retirement with Adam Bradshaw, which is in the pits, I believe.
And Owen Jameson in the pits.
And Owen Jameson, yeah. So, down to 16 survivors, but they've all been retirements in the pits, so there's been no need to cause any safety cars yet. But Lassie's now leading this race after Ennis's misfortune.
Quite a sizable margin as well.
Cameron's misfortune, and has managed to pull out 4 seconds back to the guys behind. He's just allowed to cruise off essentially on these medium tyres and build that bit of a gap as the guys behind with Alfred and Rogerwell. And Theo Smith, who's pulled up pretty close to Rogerwell here. He's on those mediums, so it kind of needs to make these moves. Just not really quite able to get past, being sat in this bit of a DRS train.
So, and if you're wondering why there was a leaf on the helmet of Rogerwell, it's a Christmas pudding. The helmet is, which is why there's a leaf on top of it.
That is a terrible idea, but I applaud it. As Jacob Belsky picks up a 3-second time penalty in P6. So that little group he's in with Lucas Rudd, Chris Free cruising up to the back of them pretty quickly as well.
Jack Evans has gone to P8 from the back of the grid.
Having a good race so far. That disqualification was pretty unfortunate. He's kind of roughly, I think, where he would have started had he not been unceremoniously yeeted out of the session. But I think he may have picked up a track limits penalty there at turn 4.
I think Hugo's I think Hugo's actually trying to create the memes himself of being in 16th place. Because he's been there all race pretty much. As there's a bit of a moment of oversteer for Roger. Well, that's going to invite Theo Smith, who...
it's going to be easily down the inside here into the hairpin. Roger's going to look for a cutback, though. Tried this move on Alfred earlier, and it kind of came off. Theo just gets a better exit, and he's not able to make the move this time. And they're both going to have the DRS, so no advantage for the AlphaTauri driver. Alfred just trying to break a bit of slipstream up in front.
As Rogerwell gets a good exit there, he might try fight this back. The battery is on as his yellow flags.
Rogerwell so fast through that final chicane. That is Hugo again.
Oh, Hugo.
He is the meme.
He'll be asking to be moved to F3 in a minute as, oh god, Theo Smith had a massive lag spike there, almost taking it Rogerwell.
Kyle's in again. This time it is for a new front wing. That is his second stop in 11 laps. So unfortunate for the Red Bull driver, who's going to put on his only brand new set of tyres, which is going to be more mediums. They're not getting 24 laps, so he's going to have to put some scrub scuffs on to get to the end of the race. Evan Boas in the pits as well, and that's going to wing for the McLaren driver. So they're going to be circulating in 14th and 15th, quite a way off these sort of trains forming at the front and in the midfield.
They're just in the strategy that I'm planning to do.
Closing in on Lassie slightly.
Is he? I thought the gap was 3.8 before. It's now 4.2. The gap's gone up 4 tenths.
It's just gone up 4 tenths out of that corner.
But it was always 3.8.
Yeah, I saw it up around 4, just over 4 before. So I wonder if Lassie maybe just had a bit of a snap of oversteer somewhere.
Or the delta's broken.
So it's come down momentarily. Oh, well, yeah, that is also quite likely. Lassie is underfueled though. His fuel light is loud and proud, so he's going to need some safety cars.
And
as
same
is
with
Rudd in P5
as well.
So they're going to need some safety cars somewhere to hopefully get to the end of this race, or do some pretty severe fuel saving. It's not the easiest place to save fuel at Canada.
Well, we are 12 laps into this race. I'm wondering when the medium runners are going to pit. I'd say lap 15 onwards would be my prediction, as the clouds are really rolling in there. There's not a bit of blue sky left at all. Whereas I'd love to know
I'd say
the weather.
the later the better. Depending on how they've done their setup, if it said it was going to be cloudy, they could have put a little bit more pressure in those rear tyres just to protect them slightly. As with the track being a little cooler, they're not going to overheat. And that is going to allow you to go quite a long way on medium tyres here.
Yeah. Be nice if the game actually simulated, you know, like you got a full-on like temperature report and everything, and it actually affected the tyres. That'd be unreal. But you know, this game, like they say, it's not a simulation; it is just a game. So, if anyone wants to make an F1 simulation, that'd be amazing.
You can run higher pressures when it's cloudy than when it's fully sunny, though.
Yeah, I don't know. It'd be nice to actually like have temperatures though. That's just something I'd personally like. You know. Yeah. To actually...
The guys that make F1 Manager need to collaborate with Cody's to make an F1 game that works like that. Yeah. As Chris Free's going to look for a move at the end of Sector 1. That's very close to the outside wall, almost at a Brandon Hartley. And just murdered a guy, but he gets a little on the curbs, and Jacob Abelski's going to manage to maintain P6. And they're both going to have DRS, which is going to help them out, as Kyle Mack sets the fastest lap with a 13.2. It's a pretty good lap. With 20-odd laps of fuel left in the car.
Yeah, it's quite decent. You'll be expecting that to probably be in the 112s by the end. Then as Chris launches a dive, he's going to have DRS as well. So this is a really well thought out move.
He's going to have it as well, though. I think they were both close enough to Lucas up in front.
I don't think they were.
To both get that rear wing opening.
Abelski doesn't.
So lost some time fighting earlier in the lap, which is going to mean Abelski doesn't have the DRS.
The gap at the front started to stabilise at around that 4.3, 4.4 range. So I think the hard and medium tyres are about even now, I will say.
Yeah. And Theo and Roger are coming with Alfred as well. So these four have 8 seconds back to Lucas Rudd in P5. Who's then got his own little train of goodness behind him. With Chris Free, Jacob Abelski, and Jack Evans all looking to close in on the Mercedes driver. And Lewis Pierce isn't a million miles behind if they start fighting, especially as Jack picks up a 3-second time penalty.
That's our 7th of the day, or 7th person of the day. Fair play to Mitch, he's only still on those, what is it, 3 seconds? Fair time today for him.
I think it's only come up once.
He just pitted, I think he's
he's just done 3 seconds.
Yeah, I think he's only just done his first... Has he done 1 stop? Or has he done 2? No, he's just pitted from softs, so he's done 14 laps on softs.
That's pretty good.
And so he'll easily make it to the end on mediums if he can do that on softs.
You would imagine so. I wonder if Mitch is one of those that has put some extra pressure in his tyres.
Mitch uses time trial setup, so...
Oh, well, then his rear tyres, if he's on a time trial setup, his rear tyres may be maximum pressures, and he's somehow managed to keep them from overheating.
His tyres are all balanced at around 90. They actually probably could put a lot more pressure in, but he has came at the pit a lap ago. I mean, they'll be probably close to up to temperature, but maybe just a bit.
Mediums around here, yeah, within a lap, yeah.
They'll probably be like a little higher in 2 or 3 laps, but you know, maybe only 1 or 2 degree extra on each of the tyres. This race is sort of stabilised at the moment, not too much going on. I think when the strategy changes start coming, that's when it's going to get interesting.
Yeah, waiting for these medium guys to begin diving in, because especially with Theo Smith, there's going to be that little niggling thought in the back of Alfred and Rogerwell's minds that how much of an undercut is he going to generate going onto those fresh hard tyres while they're still on the worn ones, waiting to pit to their probably mediums.
Yeah.
Although you could probably hard soft here quite easily, especially if Mitch can do 14 laps on softs.
As there's another penalty, that's Lucas Rudd. There's a retirement, that's Chris Free.
Oh,
he's been that in the Wall of Champions, and that's a safety car.
Had to be, so I think we're going to see everybody coming in here. Absolutely everybody. I think the guys on the hards are going to pit for mediums and be like, we can get these 18 laps after the safety car ends, and then the guys on mediums, this is a pretty much perfect time for them to box But Anson's staying out on hards, 13-lap-old hard tyres, so they're not brand new. But he doesn't have to stop if he thinks there's going to be more safety cars, or he can somehow get these to the end, which would be a little bit magical if he can. It just kind of shows how far in front some of those guys at the front were, as Jacob Elski's come out in P8.
Yeah, he's came out ahead of everyone who's already stopped with damage. And he was, running 6th behind Lucas Rudd?
Yeah.
So I think
he was just in front of his teammates.
I think Jack's going to make out ahead. I think Lewis Pierce will be behind Anson and Cameron Don and maybe Carmack as well. As that's a drive-through for Alfred Monk.
He's gone a bit early to try and get into the pits as soon as possible under the Delta, and that's going to need to be served pretty much as soon as the safety car comes in to avoid a disqualification. So just not really paying attention to his Delta there.
Brutal. He's missed out by
Jack Evans as well.
I think he's missed out by 1 second. And that's also for Jack Evans has got a driver as well. He's done the same
5 seconds for speeding in the pit lane.
2 people have done the exact
all
same
around.
thing.
Yeah, so these 2 guys are going to have to box for their drive-throughs early on and essentially try and do a recovery drive, make up that time they're going to lose. Hopefully they don't try and serve it under safety car. The game does not allow you to do that.
Jack Evans has actually undercut Hebelski with going too early. As Lewis Pierce is going to come out where I said he would, mainly because Kyle and Cameron have pitted. As Chris Free has left the session, and Mitch, oh come on Mitch.
Nope, that's not yours, Mitch. Cameron was ahead through safety car line 1, I believe.
I mean, come on, Mitch, you got 3 seconds on the safety car.
Oh, right, okay. I thought you meant because he was going side by side with Cameron.
No, I wasn't on board with him at that point.
This is just going to settle everything down here.
Let's get a bit of viewer engagement going. Who do you think is going to win the race from this point? Let us know in the chat, as there's been about 15 of you watching the whole way through, which is nice to see. Let's hear your thoughts on the race. Who do we think is going to win from this point onwards, as the safety car's going to be out a while?
Yeah, I think with the pace he's shown so far, it's kind of difficult to look past Lassie, in my opinion. Although Roger Well being on those medium tyres, who is the only guy at the front who is, that might help him out quite a lot as well, was able to stick with the guys around him when they were on the fresher boots, so now he has that advantage. Maybe he can do something with it, make some moves. Alfred obviously has that drive-through to serve, so he won't be a factor in this restart really, and we'll be hoping for another safety car to get him back with the train. But it could realistically be kind of anybody. Canada's one of those tracks where it's very easy just to lose a little bit of focus, make a mistake, damage a car, and then that's just going to drop you way out of contention without a safety car. The person who I think is going to benefit the most from this, though, is going to be Hugo, who was cut adrift at the back and is now going to be with the train. He's essentially going to be the guy the safety car is going to have to wait for. Although, we may see it in this lap. I think it's unlikely.
Yeah, I think it's very unlikely. Hugo will probably spin again or something.
A lot of tyre warming going on. But it doesn't seem to be all that effective for most of these guys. They're all sitting around about in the 70s on their tyre temperatures, which is not ideal.
Yeah, that's not good. I hate trying to look at the Williams because you just can't see the temps.
Although Roger Well's tyres are mid-80s, so he's managing to keep those mediums pretty nice and toasty, which is going to give him an advantage off the restart against some cold, hard tyres.
And Alfred will probably dive straight into the pits, I think. So Roger Well, if he can get past Theo, he's going to be in such a good place here. Definitely a contender for winning the race, and well, we know penalties as well. I mean, if you want to check how many warnings everyone's got, you can.
No.
See, you can't be bothered, fair enough.
Yeah, basically. I checked it for Mitch when he didn't have a penalty, and it said he had 3 warnings, so one on the first lap must have been for contact. So I'm like, I'm not going to look anymore because this is just going to trigger me. But speaking of tyre temperatures, though, Cameron Don currently down in 11th place. He's actually got 90 degrees on his tyres. So if he can find some gaps off this restart, especially with Anson up there, a couple of cars ahead on very old hards, they're not going to be great off this restart.
It's a bit of
and we have seen Cameron making overtakes, so there's nothing to say he can't do it here at Canada as well.
I reckon Cameron could somehow finish like on a podium here.
It's very possible. He's definitely going to have a tyre advantage on all those guys with hards. So it's mostly clearing Caleb White and Lewis Pierce in front of him, and then he's going to get up towards Rogerwell. As the safety car is going to be in this lap. So I think best person to sit on board with is probably Theo Smith, as we're expecting Alfred just to dive straight into the pits and not really get involved in all this.
We'll see though, he's heating his tyres up, so maybe he's trying to, you know, slow people down a bit, make sure Lassie doesn't drive off. Tactically bunch them all together to make them fight, so he has some form of chance of getting back at them.
That would be a good thing, and I also think though he's just aggressively warming his tyres because they're going to cool down as he drives through the pit lane. Yeah, he's looking to go straight in here, but he needs Lassie to kind of get out of the way.
Oh no, he's not.
Oh no, he isn't. Thought he was. So he's going to do one more lap and then come in.
As here we go. And Rogerwell straight on the back of
Caleb
Theo
White's
here.
round. Caleb White has gone round at that final
there goes
chicane.
Alfred.
Goes for a move. Lassie gives him space, but he's going to try and fight this back.
He's made it stiff.
I think the smart thing for Lassie is just to chill. Let Alfred go. That drive-through is going to drop him down to the back of the field. No need for Lassie to fight a fight he doesn't need to take.
Smart driving from Rogerwell there. He had an opportunity on the outside into the previous chicane, but decided to just to back out of it. No need to make every move in 2 seconds, as there's a yellow flag for Evan Bowers. As Lewis also is under pressure from Cameron. Cameron's through and up to P9 now in the Mercedes already. And one of the lead medium chargers, I think he's going to be straight after the Alfa Romeo of Anson Wangen and the 2 Alpines after that.
I expect him to make the move on Anson pretty quickly, those old hard tyres.
Rogerwell's trying to move. He's not trying to move, he's going to back it again. Can he get a good chicane?
Carries on for another lap.
Here we go.
I think he's going to have to come in next time. As Jack's in.
On the outside, Rogerwell, he's going to dive it. No, he's not. Rogerwell's playing this very carefully. However, he needs to get past soon because Lassie is managing to build a gap on Theo behind, and Lassie has had some really good pace this race, keeping it in the track limits, and he's almost keeping up with Alfred in that DRS range, who's on mediums as well, and they're brand new.
Yeah, this DRS is going to open next time round, but I'm expecting Alfred kind of needs to come in the pits next time, otherwise he's going to get disqualified. So this is just Lassie looking to try and build a bit of a gap if he can, for when Rogerwell inevitably makes his way past Theo.
I think Theo's just trying to defend his position as much as he can. That's what's going on back behind. Here.
Kyle sent a bit of a dive bomb there into the chicane. Lewis didn't see him coming, turned for the corner as he was entitled to do.
Mitch P10. What's happened here?
I don't know, but he's looking for a move on Kyle. They're going to go side by side into the final chicane. Alfred is in for his drive-through. That's a great move by Mitch, and it's given Kyle a 3-second penalty, and it's going to get him overtaken by Lewis Pierce as well in the McLaren.
He's going to
fight it around the outside. It's going to give him the inside for turn 2.
And he's kept his
great
position
bit of defensive driving there for the Red Bull driver. Hugo just in the background, just watching all this unfold in front of him. Be hoping to make a move on the guys fighting his teammate as well as his teammate, as Lewis is going to try it around the outside of 5. But again, Kyle's going to brake late and send it back in there and try and keep the place.
Here comes Hugo. He's going to go in the middle of both of them. No way he's going to make this happen.
That's so brave, so stupid, but it worked so well. As Kyle has to cut another corner just to avoid some contact, and that's going to compromise them both, and Caleb White's going to make it 3 wide.
Oh, there's contact there! Oh, they're going into a wall. Oh my god. Who is that? Alfred Monk is back in this. He's going round the outside of them both.
3 wide again.
What is going? Lewis and Kyle have lost 5 places each. While fighting each other. What is going on?
And that is going to put Alfred back up into P12, and now it's going to be a case of how many places can he gain in this last 12 laps. He's not going to have a tyre advantage until he gets up to Anson in P7. But should have a pace advantage looking at how he did in quali and how his race pace was earlier on. Lassie's got a lead up to 2.2, but Rogerwell has managed to clear Theo Smith, so we'll be taking off after the Ferrari driver on those medium tyres as well, so he's going to have that boots advantage. And then a bit of a gap back to Jacob Abelski and Lucas Rudd, who's going to have his teammate coming up behind very quickly, Cameron Don.
I think that's my vote
pretty good recovery drive.
That's my vote for craziest lap of the season, lap 22 at Canada. What the hell has just happened?
That's going to take some to get beaten, as Jacob Abelski's made a mistake and Lucas Rudd has made his way up into P4. So that's going to put Mercedes at 4th and 6th, and Cameron's going to close right up on these two as well. Just 6/10 back now in that Mercedes on those medium tyres, so we'll have that pace advantage and we'll be looking to make it count before the crossover of the tyres in around about 5 off 6 laps.
No one's got any battery in this train. This train is ridiculous, currently being headed by Anson and Mitch.
But Hugo's going to look for a move on Mitch. He's going to get down the inside for turn 1. Backs out of the move, thinks better of it.
I think it's more just fastest lap who's that? That's Caleb White. He's just stuck his nose
in a gap that was never going to be there. Which is going to give Alfred another place and put him up into P10 now.
As Lewis and Evan both get a penalty at the same corner. Same car, teammates. How that's happened, as Evan's almost gone flying into Alfred Monk there, and as Hugo... Oh, and there's contact again!
Nearly collected everyone.
There was more contact between Evan and Alfred Monk there as well. One of them's got damage. I don't know which one it is.
All over the place, that's Alfred's. As he's having to cut this third chicane, and that's given Kyle Mack the place back and put him back up into P11. And Lewis back up into P9, so all those places they lost fighting, they've basically managed to regain it all, as everyone else is just murdering each other this time.
Caleb White dropped to 13th, he's now already 10th again a few corners later. What is going on in this race?
This is the kind of race you really want to be at the front. As we are starting to build a little bit of a train here for P4, Lucas Rudd heading Jacob Abelski, and Cameron Don gets a great exit out of the final chicane. He's going to look for a move into turn 1, but I don't think he's going to be close enough to try it here. Not quite. But he'll be looking for the exit here from turn 2. Maybe try a little undercut. There's a bit of contact. But I think Cameron's got away with that with no damage. But Jacob's going to manage to hold on to 5th place for now. As Lewis and Kyle are going to go side by side again.
And Caleb's got both, and he's now P9. Mitch and Nansen have just drove off from these lot.
Anson somehow keeping those tyres alive. 23 laps on the hards already. But I think another 10 is going to be tricky. Evan crosses the white line on the pit exit. So that's a 5-second penalty there for the McLaren driver, as he's bolted some softs on along with Alfred Monk. But 17 seconds is a long way back to catch up to Hugo, who is currently 13th. Although we'll be looking at a move on the Alpine driver of Jack Evans in front of him. And gets a good drive through the chicane, but then a bit of a snap of 2 or 3 snaps of oversteer on the exit. I wonder if Hugo's carrying damage in that car to either the rear wing or his diffuser.
Mitch is starting 3 to build him up there.
I think it's only on 6 though, right?
12. He's on 12.
Oh, okay. Definitely not.
What's happened at the front? Lassie's lost a second.
Probably just a bit of a snap somewhere. Yeah, but that's going to give Rogerwell a bit of impetus here to get on the back of the Ferrari driver. If you can get in the DRS here, I'm not sure Lassie's going to have too much to say about it, being on those hard tyres.
Since that train's been broken up, we've had a few moments to breathe, shall we say. As that was... I don't even know what was going on.
No, but Kyle and Lewis are still running pretty close, so you never know what's going to kick off here.
Yeah, drive side by side for half of the track.
With special guests turning up every other corner.
As here comes Jacob Abelski for P4. And that's move complete. P4 for the Alpine.
What if Lucas here is just going to play a bit of the team game and get out of Cameron's way?
Lucas at their free driver, he's here to do the best for himself. That's what I'd do if I was reserving up a tier. Won the team championship.
No, but there is, I think, probably a better chance for Lucas to get the place back on Jacob if he lets Cameron go. As Cameron is on softer tyres, so is more likely to be able to make a move on the Alpine driver.
As Alfred sets the fastest lap. Oh no, he doesn't.
Well, Jacob Abelski gets a huge snap of oversteer, and that's going to open him up to both Mercedes potentially. He might just about have enough in his locker to keep the place into the third chicane, and he does so. But that's going to put them right on the back of him as Evan picks up another 3 seconds as well. So not going great for the McLaren driver so far this race.
I was going to say Liam's going to have a quieter week this week. I don't think he's going to have too much of a quieter week anymore.
Yeah, it was going to be, and then Kyle and Lewis got near each other, and then maybe not. But Caleb White's looking for a move on Mitch. Mitch has that red light flashing, but so does Caleb. So both harvesting some battery here. And Caleb makes the move for Alfa Romeo up into P8, and that's going to put him on the back of his teammate on now 26 lap old hard tyres.
Mitch took the leaving one car length to an absolute extreme there. He left about
that's fine.
1.001 of a car length. Which is more than one, so, you know, it's good enough.
If nobody's on wall, it's fine.
Oh, you're almost. There's almost something it was. There's only 4 drivers with 8 penalties, and it's the front 2 of them. And
with
look at Anson. Anson's in a great place. He's let his teammate through there to go on a charge.
Well, it was a smart thing to do. I think Caleb's much more likely to get on the back of this train in front, and Anson will be hoping he can bring him with him. He's going to give Anson the DRS down this straight. As there's contact between the Mercedes.
Cameron's put Lucas right in there, I think.
Lucas just brakes earlier, and Cameron punts him in the back slightly and spins him around. So there may be a report coming out from the Mercedes boys there. We'll have to see what happens. This is turning into F1 from last week.
It's music to the ears of the Alfa Romeo drivers, that is. The fact that well, I mean, Anson doesn't really need to get the moves done on track.
Yeah, but Caleb is now going to be in DRS range of Lucas Rudd, and Lucas is still going to have P4. DRS on Cameron Don.
Yeah, Anson could finish P4 if the race was to finish next lap. That'd be ridiculous.
And, well, there's always time for people to gain more penalties.
Yep.
But Lassie's managed to build that gap out the front back out a little bit more. It's now up to 2 seconds, just kind of cruising around in the Ferrari, just making sure he doesn't pick up any penalties, and just maintaining that gap back to Roger Well in the AlphaTauri, who has managed to break DRS on Theo Smith behind, so he's going to be dragging the Aston Martin along with him.
Lucas Rudd is back.
Lucas got back past Cameron, and that's going to put Cameron right in the grasp of Caleb White here. Championship leader looking to maintain his strong point scoring record. He's had 2 6th places in a row. We'll be hoping to improve on that here today. Gets a snap out of the hairpin though, so that's going to drop him back from the back of Cameron's Mercedes a little bit. It's not going to be able to make a move down this straight.
2 6th places in a row. We're on ring 4 and he's still leading the championship. That's the reason why F2 is ridiculous.
Pretty dominant Bahrain, and everybody else falling off cliffs left, right and centre.
Is Lassie going to be leading the championship after this? Might be.
He wasn't a million miles off.
He had 38 points coming into this, I think.
Yes, this is going to put him up to 53.
63.
So, very tough. 63, yes.
No, 50. No, 53. Yeah.
No, if he was on 38. No, if he was on 38. 63.
He was on 28. Because he's only done 2 races. Because I can't do maths.
Okay.
10 plus 18 is 28. Says yellow flags, that's Lewis Pierce. Evan Burrows has picked up another penalty.
But I'm not sure if Lewis has got any damage. He's definitely gone around.
Both McLarens have caused a yellow flag at the moment.
Yeah, the McLaren seems to be intact.
Oh, so that's a bigger hit this time, and Cameron's lost his front wing.
And Lucas has had to cut the chicane, and that's going to give up a place to both Alfa Romeos. Anson's going to get through there as well.
Even more music to the ears of the Alfa Romeos.
And Cameron's going to have to come into the pits here with no front wing. But he's staying out. How much of that front wing's missing on the Mercedes?
The whole thing.
And he's staying out, which is weird. Because he's just going to drop like a stone. You only lose about 14 seconds here for making a pit stop. You could bolt some softs on, go a couple of seconds a lot faster than everyone else. And probably get back into the points.
I wouldn't know where Anson's tyres have got. 29 lap old.
They won't be round anymore.
Oh,
Lewis and Evan have DNF'd in the pits, so that'll
no,
be
at the final corner, one of them was, and that's a safety car.
Okay. So that's going to be some work to do for the McLaren boys. Let's see who's in. I think Cameron's going to pit here. I think Anson probably is as well, because he's going to be a bit of a sitting duck on those hards now. We might even see everybody in. This is going to be a 2-lap dash, so you kind of want some soft boots. But I think it's going to depend on what Lassie does. If Lassie stays out, I think Roger Well is definitely going to be coming in.
One McLaren in the pits, the other one in the wall.
That's where we like to see him.
Lassie's gone through.
Yeah, Lassie's in. And Roger Well's in as well.
Everyone's going in.
As is Theo. We'll have to see. I wonder if Caleb White's going to stay out and just try and hold on some.
I bet Anson will stay out.
There's no way. Oh, he thought about it, and then he's had to make the decision very, very late. Almost causes contact with Lucas Rudd, who's staying out as well. So Anson is going to lead this race on 30-lap old hard tyres. Oh, has Lassie jumped? Oh, Lassie, that's brilliant.
Roger Wells almost had him as well. Yeah, he would have had him if he'd not for his indecisive.
Yeah. He really wasn't sure what to do. I wonder if he came in because of Caleb pitting.
I think Anson is not going to fight Roger Well. He'll let him go, and then he'll fight everyone else because they've all got penalties.
Well, very possible. And with Lucas right behind, if Lucas can hold off the guys behind, that's going to give Anson that little bit of breathing room he needs. Now, the safety car is going to be forced in at the end of next lap, so we are going to get this 2-lap sprint. Hold on to whatever it is you're drinking at the moment, Liam, because you might need it.
Yeah, we have 12 drivers involved in this last sprint, since Hugo got a drive-through, so he's not going to be involved.
Oh, Hugo.
Ruining it for all of us, always.
Well, there's only 13 drivers running, so we can't be 16th, yeah.
As Iron says Forza Ferrari, one of them is out the race, the other one has led over half of it.
Yeah, since he made the overtake on track, starting on those medium tyres.
He didn't make the overtake on track. Cameron binned it in a wall.
Yeah, but same thing.
Same thing. Are we sure Johnny's not driving under Hugo? His name.
Yeah.
He hasn't binned it under a safety car, so actually I can't say anything. I did that last week. He's not driving a Williams, so no.
Being around Canada, though, I think it's more likely to be you than Johnny.
No, that's only on wet tyres.
Yeah.
Any wet conditions, I'm retiring from the race tomorrow. If I see wet tyres, I'm leaving the session in quali. I'll see you a lot later. What's happened there? Jack Evans.
Hugo's made an overtake because Jack's had a little spin. But we'll be able to get on the back of the train before
his tyres are going to be a really good temperature. I reckon it could be P2 by turn 1 here.
They're going to be lovely and toasty.
Yeah, they're going to be brilliant to drive.
His rears are over the 90, so his rears are optimal. His fronts are mid-80.
He's going to be rapid then.
Yep, so this is going to be the safety car in notice. There we go. So it'll be interesting to see what Anson can do for these 2 laps. How many positions is he going to lose on those hards?
Tell me, look how satisfying that is. The front 3, no penalties. Everyone else, penalties.
It's a shame that Anson and Lucas didn't pit and we could just have every single driver on 1-lap old softs.
Here we go then. Who's gonna win? I think
Lasse maintaining quite a pace down here.
I think Lasse just wants to leave. Lasse doesn't want any of this. And I don't blame him. And he's
straightens
gone.
up the final chicane, drops the hammer.
Here
And
comes
Roger
Roger
gets a
straight
really
away.
great launch with the extra traction. He's going to be able to brake so much later than Anson on those new soft tyres, but Anson just about manages to hold the place.
Theo Smith's going for a move on Lucas Rudd, and he's done that as Jack Evans retires in the pit lane. Hugo's probably going for the fastest lap, I think, as there goes Roger Well up into P2. And here comes the Anson Wong train.
There's going to be a swarm behind him, as Lucas has already dropped a couple of places, and that's going to release 2 more guys.
That's contact, that's Caleb Whiterain, and also Cameron Don as well, I think, just went into him. As that's a 5-second penalty for a severe collision.
I kind of think he collected Cameron there, Caleb, as he was spinning around. But that's going to put Kyle up above Lucas Rudd as well. So now we've got 3 guys on soft tyres, parking up basically behind Anson's
and here
very,
comes
very
Sabelski
old
there.
hard.
Guys, you don't need to fight each other side by side. You need to work together, getting past one by one. But I mean,
yeah, but Lasse has left. So Lasse managed to build 2 seconds on that lap out to Rogerwell as we come onto the final lap of the race. And it's looking like a pretty dominant performance for the Ferrari as long as he gets through this final lap with no penalties and no mistakes. But Anson still managing to hold P3. Hebelski very close, but I think Anson maybe just running slightly lower wings and he's just got a bit more straight line speed. But here comes Hebelski into turn 4. So much more traction on those soft tyres, and that's going to put him up into
just needs
P3.
to stay with it. Oh, no, Anson!
Anson picks up a 3-second time penalty, though.
And he's going to get places as well.
By Theo and Kyle. That's going to drop him down to P6 on the road. Be interesting to see how that shakes out with penalties later on.
Here comes
These guys
Mitch.
in front of Anson have all got 6.
Mitch. As it's going to be almost 3 wide. I don't think Mitch wants to make it 3 wide as Lucas Rudd on 18 lap old hards absolutely launches it past Anson on 33 lap old hards.
Anson looks to try and come back though. He's not giving this up without a fight, but he might have to here.
As Lucas Rudd's gone deep.
Lucas
Mitch is going to collect both of them.
There's contact with Anson, and here goes Mitch. As Anson gets a big snap of oversteer.
Alfred Monk's come through them, and he's not even got a front wing. He's not even got a front wing.
But coming over the line to win the race is going to be Lasse Rasmussen with a dominant performance for Ferrari. Roger picks up P2, same as he got last week. And then over the line, let's see how penalties shuffle this out. Jacob Hebelski takes
for the
P3.
podium. Anson finishes
P6. P4 for Theo Smith. Lucas Rudd jumps up to P5. So right decision there for Lucas to stay out on those hard tyres. Anson just dropped to P6 with losing some places on that final lap and getting that penalty. If he hadn't got that penalty, though, he would have only been ahead of Lucas, so it's only cost him 1 place. Cameron Don with no front wing, P7. Alfred Monk also with no front wing, P8. And now it's jumped out of here. I need to go and look and see who got 9th and 10th, because I'm not certain anymore. As it gives Lucas Rudd driver of the day, which I don't think is too far off.
Lasse from 11th on the grid, surely.
Oh, well, yeah, that is true. Lassie's first couple of laps were cracked. Yes, Caleb White picks up P9, so that's 2 points for our championship leader, but I don't think he's going to be our championship leader anymore. And Kyle Mack manages to get 1 point for P10. Just ahead of Mitch, those 2 guys with a ton of penalties. Separated in the end by half a second.
This race director.
I don't think I want to know.
I think it's as bad as yesterday's.
Yeah, if anybody wants a dissertation, we've got 2. We've got yesterday's and today's that you can use. Hugo gets a 20-second time penalty at the end for not serving his drive-through.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen that before. I don't think I've seen somebody with a drive-through late enough that they can get a 20-second penalty at the end for not serving it. Tell me you just get disqualified. What you really want to do is scroll down the pit stops thing, because there's quite a lot. And about 20 front rings. 1, 2, 3, 4, 9, 10.
I like that counting. 1, 2, 3,
12,
4, 9.
15 front wing changes were needed. Well, yeah, because there's 2 on lap 1, one on lap 2, one on lap 6, and then there's a group of 5 all together between lap 8 and lap 15. The only reason anybody pit between lap 8 and lap 15 was to get a new front wing. So, also, it should be noticed, Mitch did 14 laps on those softs at the start, and then when he pit, got a new front wing. So, how many of those laps did he do with damage? Because that's pretty good.
Alright,
So I think interviews with Lassie, Rogerwell, and who took third at the...
Habelski.
Jacob.
Yeah. I'm gonna just be quiet because I need an absolute coughing fit. So yeah.
It's not letting me drag. Why isn't it letting me drag? Hello!
Hello.
Quite a chaotic race, although I think you guys running at the front managed to survive the worst of it.
Yeah, it was like Drive to Survive.
So we'll start with race winner Lassie Rasmussen. How did you feel that went for you? As I say, managed to survive most of the carnage after a pretty crazy first couple of laps. 11th on the grid to taking the lead fairly quickly.
Yeah, I was starting 11th. Turn 2, I was P5. Then I made 2 more overtakes the following laps. And then just the safety car just it was just right for the medium runners, which I started on the mediums. So yeah, that was quite lucky. I extended my my initial pit strategy 1 lap, and that's exactly right for the safety car. So yeah, it was quite actually it was quite dominating. Didn't really have no competition. I underfueled 3 laps, so I had to fuel manage the hard stint.
Yeah, we did see the fuel lights on a few guys. We're wondering if we were going to get any safety cars because it did take quite a while to get any, and thinking that might be a little bit problematic. But you got your wish in the end, and the safety cars, and then obviously the 2-lap dash at the end where you just left.
Yeah, like I think most of it was down to fuel because I think most people were overfueled. I was 0.2 laps up on fuel, so starting 3 laps down on fuel, I think that was about right.
But well, it was a dominant performance. We'll have to see where that lands you in the standings. I think you'll be pretty close to the lead. The guys at the front with Caleb, Anson, and Chris. None of them had a particularly high-scoring race, so that's definitely going to give you quite a jump on those guys, and see if we can slot you in to that title fight in the Ferrari, which is going to be quite interesting to see it turn into a 4-way battle at the top.
Yeah, like I don't know. I think this was maybe one of my better races. Like in Bahrain, I was so far off the pace, so I don't know the next couple of races if that'll be the same or it will be like Canada where I'm right on the pace. We'll have to see.
Well, we'll be going to Spa next week, so hopefully you can replicate some of your better performances and not some of the weaker ones there next week.
Yeah, hopefully.
But moving on to Jacob P3, how did you feel that race went from your view?
First of all, I want to say it was chaos, hell of chaos. I don't know seriously how I managed to stand on the podium, especially after first stint. The whole first stint I drove with the damaged front wing. I waited for safety car, and safety car came out exactly when I entered the pit lane. So that was a bit of luck for me. And the second safety car also helped me to close to the front runners. And I passed the Aston Martins, and I don't know.
That would have been the Alfa Romeo of Anson on the 32 lap old hard tyres he was by the end.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, you pit early and just hung them out, which almost paid off, but you did manage to make that move.
Almost.
But another good result following on from China. So see if you can continue that for the rest of the season. As I say, we are heading off to Spa next week, just before our mid-season break. We are having a week off for Christmas. No one really wants to race the day after Christmas, so it makes sense to pause all 3 tiers for a week and see maybe you can get involved in this championship fight as well, which would especially be crazy considering you were missing for the first round, I believe, and then in F3
I
really for China. Yeah, so
I missed first race. I'm feeling quite positive about Spa. Even if I'm not on the pace like in Canada, I qualified 9th, and I didn't think I have a good pace, but it was just a good solid drive, not making too much mistakes, and that gave me opportunity to stand or to fight for the podium, and I think this will continue in the races.
Well, Canada's definitely a track where penalties count.
Yeah, exactly.
So
everyone except still had a penalty. Crazy.
Yeah, so managing to keep those low is definitely going to be beneficial somewhere like this. I think that's going to be significantly less of an issue at Spa, so that might come down to much more just pace. But hopefully you are both on the pace, and we can see you up on that podium again.
Absolutely, but I think last one level higher than me, he was just flying. I only saw his point of a map and big gap behind him.
Yeah, but pretty dominant drive from Lassie to take the win. But I think that is gonna round out F2 for this week. So we will be back in Spa next week for round 5 of season 3. We'll have to see after stewarding how it lines everything up with the points and with the finishing positions here, and see what we go into Spa looking like. And of course there is F1 on tomorrow to see our top tier try and navigate the city streets of Montreal. But I've been Zeke, joined by Luke Mills, sort of dying slowly in the corner. And we will see you all next week.